Welcome students. So in this period we are going to study pollination. Now what is pollination? So the transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. This is called as pollination. Generally, the pollination is of two types. First one known as self-pollination. See here. Actually, the plants produce non-motile gametes, both male and female gametes produced in the flowering plants. They are non-motile. Okay, so they are transferred from the anther to the stigma. So pollen grains, they are transferred from anther to the stigma. In self-pollination, actually, which occurs in a single plant. Here, the pollen grains, they are transferred from the anther to stigma of same flower or other flower produced on same plant. Okay, same plant. Such type of pollination is called as self-pollination. Next one is cross-pollination. See here, in cross-pollination, there is transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of another flower present on different plant. Of same species. See here, same species is important, not of the different species. So, in cross pollination, no doubt, two plants are involved. Two plants are involved. The pollen grains from the anther, they are transferred to the stigma of another flower which is located or which is produced on the different plant of the same species. Okay, see here. As per the natural pollination, the self-pollination, it can be divided into two types. The first one, it is known as autogamy, and the second one is known as gytonogamy. Now, what is difference between these two? So, Autogamy, auto that is self, है ना, and gamy for gametes. See here, if the pollen grain is transferred from the anther of a flower to the stigma of same flower. In short, in bisexual flower, you know that androecium is there as well as gynoecium is also there. Okay. Now, if the flower is pollinated by the pollen grains of itself, such type of pollination is called as autogamy. Okay. Now, what is gytonogamy? In this pollination, the pollen grains, they are transferred from the anther to the stigma of other flower. Located on same plant. So, in this way, in self-pollination, a single plant is involved, and here, if we have to draw the structure like this, see here. This is a plant, suppose, and here suppose this is a flower. Here gynoecium is there, stigma is there, and suppose this is the stamen or anther. Now here the pollen grains, no doubt you know, they are produced inside the pollen sac, that is inside the anther. When these pollen grains, they are deposited on the stigma of the same flower. So, this type of pollination is known as autogamy. Okay. Now, in gytonogamy, see here, suppose this is one flower. No doubt it is bisexual flower, suppose, having androecium and gynoecium. Okay. And here again the second flower is there, suppose. Here there is the gynoecium and here there is the stamen. See here, if the pollen grains produced in this anther, these pollen grains, if they are transferred and they are deposited on the stigma of other flower. Okay. Here stigma of the other flower, but located on the same plant. The plant is single here. Such type of pollination is called as gytonogamy. Thus, you can observe here in both these cases, a single plant is involved. But now, in cross pollination, again we can draw the diagram like this. See here, cross pollination, it is also known as xenogamy or outbreeding. Now see here, what happens here in cross pollination? No doubt two different plants, they are involved. Suppose this is a plant, this is the second plant. Now two flowers are there. Here there is a flower. Okay. Suppose here stamen is there. Again there is a flower here on this other plant. And suppose These are the stem. Two different plants are there. Now here, if the mature anthers, when releases the spores or the pollen grains, when these pollen grains or microspores, they are transferred, and if they are deposited on the stigma of this flower located on the different plant, but of same species. This plant is of the same species, means both these plants, they belong to same species. Okay, but the plants are different. Two plants are involved. Such type of pollination is called as cross pollination, or it is also called as xenogamy. So remember here, xenogamy means cross pollination. Autogamy is also known as self pollination, but gytonogamy is also a type of self pollination. So here we complete the article pollination and the types of pollination, and mainly for the process of pollination, to transfer these pollen grains from anther to stigma, the flowering plants, they require different types of the biotic agents. Okay, and in the next period we will see about the types of pollinating agents required for the process of pollination. Okay students.